Is it a moment for us to think about the responsibility of our political leaders and their voices and what it does to the masses as they get lost in misinformation or disinformation?
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
You get it, right? Sick.
Like, we're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
Democrats and people in the media wasting no time to blame the right for their murder of one of our leaders. Steve Guest shared this clip from CBS morning host Nate Burleson, and he's explaining that it's basically you guys have shared political misinformation and disinformation, and that is causing the political violence. Let's listen to this clip and see what went down on CBS.
And as Tony mentioned, not everyone took to his words or his rhetoric. You know, at times they were offensive to specific communities. But with that said, this is not the time to focus on that. We are focused on this tragedy. Speaking of this tragedy, is this a moment for your party to reflect on political violence? Is it a moment for us to think about the responsibility of our political leaders and their voices and what it does to the masses as they get lost in misinformation or disinformation that turns in and spills into political violence?
I say both parties.
I don't even say parties, I say a nation. If there's a moment in time we want to look to, and I looked back and I watched this again when Robert F. Kennedy is running, he's in Indianapolis, and he just got the news that Martin Luther King was killed. And he has to tell the crowd because we don't have social media at that time. And it was remarkable the words he said. He said, we have to ask as a nation, who are we? And how do we want to move forward? We have watched this political attack on both sides. We watched what happened in Minnesota. We watched what happened to President Trump. We've watched this on both sides. This is not a question about parties. This is a question about nations. We cannot.
It is a question about parties. So I don't know what kind of dumb statements these are. But Kev should have come back on him and saying, our side thinking about political violence, your side keeps shooting people, now taking out Charlie Kirk. And in the aftermath of that, their side didn't disavow at all. In fact, many of them were giddy and gleeful about this. And so I'm going to share with you some of the worst people in the country, like this woman, who is literally gleeful and excited about it, dancing, okay? But this is the party that they're trying to tell us to talk to and be civil with. And we should just be one nation and get along with them. Absolutely not, because this is what they think when they kill our leaders. They have a bloodlust and they're little demonic figures.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
You get it, right? Sick. Carly Bonney, hideous piece of S this woman is, and she's dancing. She's going to give a whole little talk, and she's over at the prettiest post something on TikTok. So don't know what, her employers or anybody's going to think about it. But if, I was employing somebody like this, I would fire them immediately and never hire a liberal again, quite frankly. But that's one of them. Now, here's another, that one was very obnoxious, but this was a pretty shocking video as well. It's not just random people. This guy is walking around a college campus, and these are college students reacting to it. And this is why the universities are broken. This is why Charlie was working so hard to fix the universities, because they are creating little demons who are happy with political murder in America. Listen to this.
Charlie Kirk got shot and killed. How do you feel?
Happy, goodbye.
Wow. Did you see that Charlie Kirk just got shot and killed?
That's good.
Wow. That's good that people are getting shot just off a political view? Good that people are dying in America?
Doesn't want to talk now.
Did you see that Charlie Kirk got shot and killed today?
Yes, I did.
How do you feel about that?
I don't really have any feelings about it. Who are you?
Charlie Kirk got shot and killed today. We're just getting people's opinions. How do you feel about that?
Girl, someone had to do it.
Crazy.
That's how I feel at this point in time. But
I appreciate your honesty. I truly do. So you said someone had to do it.
yes.
Try not to get all pulled up into that, but he was a misogynist. He was a disgusting person with disgusting beliefs.
So if you had a magical...
Why was he a misogynist? He had a beautiful wife, babies. He hosted women's conferences. I never heard him say anything misogynist at all.
...wand, a magical button that you could press and keep him from being assassinated. Would you press that?
No. I think things happen for a purpose, and if that's how his life was ended, then that's how it was ended, so.
Do you know who Charlie Kirk is?
Yeah, he's a who shoot. I'm like, yeah, he's an I wouldn't wish it to anyone, but I don't think his political views are correct,
We're gonna step away from this because you're just trying
Well, you let him talk. He wants to talk. What are you? I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to him.
I love the right. I love all of you guys. Thank you.
No, you don't, man.
In my opinion, I think they're gonna flip it and say the other way. But I think the left has disputes so much hate
and brainwash so many people into doing stupid shit.
Shout out to this dude for actually spreading some truth out there. The only sane one on the college campus. Now, this is what they do, okay? So even 2 days ago, Laura Powell, who's over on X at Laura Powell ESQ, says 2 days ago, this outlet promoted paying a witch to curse Charlie Kirk to make him be on the receiving end of hatred. Now they disavow themselves and the consequences of their rhetoric, okay? The media has blood on its hands. So do the Democrats. Here's what they posted over at Jezebel. Oh gosh. We paid some Etsy witches to curse Charlie Kirk. If the far-right misogynist with a bad haircut wants to villainize independent women, first of all, do you even know what a woman is? That's very gendered. Jezebel is more than happy to be the hag of his nightmares, whatever that means. And so they, I guess, put a hex on him. They said, after placing my first spell, somebody did, make everyone hate him, I was left with more questions than answers. How long would it take to kick in? Should I have to splurge for a pricier spell to make it work faster? Shortly thereafter, the witch messaged me trying to upsell me a $50 spell booster. When I asked, well, what does your spell booster do? She said it explained it would amplify the energetic support of the main spell, or else I could just let it unfold naturally in its natural timing. And so I decided to trust the witch's will. And if you have a doubt that there's, a spiritual war happening, they're playing spiritually. Says this story was published on September 8th, 2 days before Charlie Kirk got killed. Jezebel condemns the shooting of Charlie Kirk in the strongest possible terms. We do not encourage, endorse, or excuse any political violence of any kind. And this has been the Democrat copy and paste as of late. We don't endorse political violence. Yes, you do, you psychopaths. We've seen you. You endorsed it the entire summer of 2020. You had Kamala Harris posting on X. That tweet is still up, as far as I know, raising money to bail people out who burned down the Minneapolis 3rd Precinct Police Department. You guys encourage political violence all the time. Get in their faces and so on and so forth. And now you're casting hexes and using witches to take out your political opponents. So here's another demented lady called a senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, please. Right. Why don't you start with the President of the United States, right? And every ugly meme he has posted and every ugly word.
So Trump's posts are responsible, not the Democrats. There's no self-reflection from them at all. And a lot of people are capturing this, right? This is a pretty expansive ideology. And this woman, she's apparently the assistant dean of students at Middle Tennessee State University, called Laura Lightsey. She says, looks like old Charlie spoke his fate into existence. Hate begets hate, zero sympathy. That's nice. She's the dean of a state university, assistant dean, wishing students to get shot in the neck, zero sympathy for a murder on a college campus that was effectuated by her people, 100%, or on behalf of their people. I don't know who actually did it or why, but they took out one of our dudes who was effective against them. And that's why they're gleeful. And she's teaching the students. Maybe Tennessee will do something about Laura Lightsey and her continued employment there. We've got this other woman who's doing the head bob here on her X account. She says, yes, he deserves to die. I hope he burns in hell. And she's cackling and giddy. I'm not even going to play it because it's the sound of a demon coming across the internet tubes. We don't need to do it, but you can see it right there. Happy, gleeful, giddy, because they're sick freaks. Now, AOC also is here, and what do they want to do now? Take away your guns so that when they kill you, you can't defend yourself. And so she gave this whole conversation about gun violence and political violence and all the things, not remembering that, James Comey said 86-47. Why don't you go just kill Trump? And many people, like Senator from some state we're going to get to, saying we're in the middle of a war. Our democracy is over, right? Trump is a dictator. He's going to end our country as we know it. Here's a little AOC.
I mean, I think what has just transpired is tremendously disturbing. It is the latest evolution, instance of political violence in the United States, and it has been.
What message do you have to your fellow lawmakers regarding
kind of bad audio here
and the rhetoric that has been put out in the media?
Beyond rhetoric, we need to talk about action.
What?
And we need to talk about, yes, there are words, but most importantly, we are in a job of leadership. We are in a job of action. We are in a role and a position where the American people are looking to us to do something about this. And every single day, people are dying due to gun violence in America. And every single day, there are people in this building that continue to vote against doing anything.
So she wants to take the guns away so that her people can continue to kill our people without any repercussions coming back the other way. Isn't that nice? Well, we're not going to let that happen, obviously. So another psychopath was out, says there's a bottomless pit of unhinged liberals who are positively joyful over the death of Charlie Kirk. And this account, Dr. Deborah Fauci, has been capturing a bunch of them, like just one after the other. And this lady, you can see in her eyes. Don't need to listen to what she's saying because it's horrific. We also have more. Here was James Comey saying the same. You remember this. C3 reposted this, says they knew exactly what they were calling for. They've been calling for it forever. This wasn't a joke. This was a threat, and it should have been dealt with back then. James Comey. I don't know what it means. You're the director of the FBI. You don't know what the 86 something is? They want our people dead, and now they're doing it. And now they're blaming us for our rhetoric. Now, here's more. You can see these people. Charlie Kirk dead, this TikTok from this psycho person, and another one here who looks exactly like you'd expect. Charlie Kirk died. Hands up. And I know it's really sick to even look at this stuff, and I debated doing it today, but this is what's out there, okay? And I just want to share it with you because there's going to be all these calls for civility, all these calls for negotiating with these people. Just get along, you know, go to the same schools, hire them in your businesses, and do business with them, and, you know, make them a part of the society, and let's be together as one nation. How can we possibly do that with this? They're animals. They want dead Republicans, and they're celebrating it. TMZ also had to post this video after people were laughing in their office after the Charlie Kirk assassination. And you know what's just like horrific is as we're going through X, I know many of you are here. Normally we are not streaming early in the mornings. We're doing early show today, but early in the mornings, normally we see the Charlie Kirk show right here on the sidebar live at the same time that we are. We're not seeing that today. And it looks empty because it is. So here's what TMZ said in video they had to make because they were on a live stream covering this and people in their offices were laughing about something. Here's their explanation for what happened.
We were live streaming all day during this tragedy when something happened in our office. As we were reporting the assassination of Charlie Kirk, there were some people in the back room away from our news desk here who were watching a car chase, and they were laughing, they were clapping, and you could hear it out here. And we want to make a couple of things clear. One is that I know these people, and they were not laughing, they were not reacting that way about Charlie Kirk's assassination. They were not. They would not work here if they did.
And that being said, we acknowledge that it was horrible timing, and for that we are sorry.
We apologize that you had to hear that.
And I get why if you were watching the stream, you may have felt that that's what the laughter was about. We assure you it was not about that, but it was horrible timing. And
by the way, I get it too, and he gets it because we listened as we were talking.
You can go back and look on the stream. I actually walked off camera to go back and find out what the hell was going on because it was inappropriate for the laughter at that time, but no one was laughing about the Charlie Kirk tragedy.
Nevertheless, we apologize for the way it sounded.
So you can believe them or not, who knows? And it's hard to attribute, you know, their employees' actions to them, but who knows what was really going on. Now, this guy, Rahul Pandya, he came out last night. Charlie Kirk's body was not even cold or delivered to his family yet, and he was making fun of his death last night. He says, isn't it just so refreshing to see an assassination pulled off successfully this time? Says this maniac, Rahul Pandya. It's just a joke. Yeah, they're not joking. They're killing our people. It's not a joke. Charlie's dead. Nothing funny about that. Mostly Peaceful Meme says, here's another Department of War civilian with some very interesting things to say about our current commander-in-chief as well. And maybe that person should go too. Maybe there should be a purge in our federal government. Now, that one maniac, Matthew Dowd, yesterday, apparently got fired from MSNBC, so they recognize what a disaster that was. MSNBC President Rebecca Cutler said, during our breaking news coverage of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, Matthew Dowd made comments that were inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable. We apologize for his statements, as has he. There is no place for violence in America, political or otherwise. So that dude might have gotten nuked. We'll see if others do. Stephen King is here. He's one of the worst authors of all time, says the motivation of the man who shot Charlie Kirk isn't clear. Can't even understand reality. Although he's probably mentally unstable, duh. What is clear is it was another example of American gun violence. That's all it was. Like their default talking points because they've got room temperature IQs. Elon Musk is commenting on Tim Urban. And if you know Tim Urban, he's a writer. He's not, I would say, a hyper political person. He writes over at Wait But Why. He said, every post on Blue Sky is celebrating the assassination. Such unbelievably sick people. Elon's confirming they're celebrating cold-blooded murder, and then we're supposed to be civil with them who want us dead. Now, this was another interesting image, and I'm not sure, you know, we're always looking at, is this real? We're in the age of AI. Where'd the video come from? But it certainly looks like this dude is celebrating on the camera. Now, he might be celebrating. I've seen other alternative explanations, like he's saying like, fight, 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 or something, right? Or was he celebrating? Everybody else is ducking, and this guy's celebrating after Charlie Kirk just got shot in the neck and is bleeding out. out. So, who is that individual? Why is he celebrating, or what was he doing? Who knows? But people are going to continue to comb through the records. So yeah, it looks like fired. Great news. Middle Tennessee State University announces they fired the assistant dean, Laura Sosh Leidy, 5 hours after her disgraceful comments. So that was quick. An MTSU employee today offered inappropriate and callous comments on social media concerning the horrific and tragic murder of Charlie Kirk. And don't let these people walk these back either. Don't let them walk this back. Well, I'm sorry. I was just, not in my right mind, or my emotions were out of control or whatever. This is who they are. The comments by this employee, who worked in a position of trust directly with students as the assistant dean, were inconsistent with our values of undermine the university's credibility and reputation with our students, faculty, staff, and the community at large. This employee has been fired effective immediately. We extend our deepest sympathies to the Kirk family. Sincerely, the university. Thank you, Sidney McPhee, for doing that. How much you want to bet this psycho lady actually sues them? You can't fire me. Those are my free speech rights. I would expect it, actually, because that's just who they are. So she's fired. Good riddance to her. But here's more. Apparently, there's a Department of War employee called Miles Carter Washington, is what is being reported here. Works at the U.S. Department of War, Boeing Intelligence, and other things. And somebody took a screenshot of one of his posts, and it says down here, oh, he got what he deserved. Wow, that's a DOW employee, huh? Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if Hegseth will do anything about that. I sure hope so. We also got the weirdos over at MSNBC like Ken Delanian. This is what they said over there.
Many FBI agents who have been devoted to domestic terrorism in particular, domestic terrorism squads and those working on domestic terrorism cases, have been diverted to the immigration enforcement effort, which is the thing that the FBI normally does not do. They've been required to go out on patrol, some full-time. Some have just walked away from their domestic terrorism duties. And this is at a time when...
So if Trump wasn't so focused on brown people, Charlie Kirk would be alive.
As we all know, extremism, domestic extremism in this country is on the rise, and political violence is on the rise. The FBI is the agency that we expect to address that, and it's not clear that all the resources that are capable of being brought to bear on this problem are in fact being brought to bear.
So it's just Trump's fault. He's diverting resources. If the FBI had more anti-terrorist people, Charlie would still be alive. Now, the White House posted this, which I thought was very interesting. From the official White House account over on X, says the Charlotte murder exposes Democrat failures after a career criminal was freed, right? So the Charlie Kirk murder came right after Arena got a lot of attention. And we also saw yesterday that Trump came out and he was basically, calling out the right party. A lot of other people like Mike Johnson, everybody should come together and be civil. Trump called out the Democrats, rightfully so. And they're now posting articles about the Arena case. Now, what's also interesting is we have this little back and forth that was happening on CNN. And Dan Goldman has a message to the far right-wing podcasters.
Talking about war.
Probably talking about us.
Has to stop. That's certainly not the message we're hearing from some in the sort of far right, podcasting sphere who make money off this. But
you guys make money off every single news story and tragedy, and pharma pays you a lot too. So don't say that people covering the story are like grifting off of it or something. Is that what they're saying?
Kind of rhetoric. I mean, they're talking about war. There's a war targeting conservatives.
Yeah, that is incredibly dangerous. I am really, really disappointed. And what I would really urge the President of the United States to speak out against that. I don't view this as an issue of the right or the left. I think we've seen political violence, on both sides of the spectrum. And it's not that one is worse than the other. Obviously, the efforts to assassinate the president were horrific and were absolutely should have been unacceptable. But we can't get in a tit for tat here where we're just going one after the other, because our system will completely break down. This is already a breakdown of our democracy. I think Congressman Kinzinger said it right. But our entire system of government will break down, and you will have certainly nobody who wants to do this job. It's already ill-advised for many, given the vitriol, the discourse that you see.
They talk about it all the time. They're the ones lobbing it out of their mouths. They tried to weaponize the entire Justice Department and FBI against their political opponents, throw them in prison, kick them off the ballots, and now they're murdering our top leaders. And so this was a great clip that was assembled by Western Lensman. He says, we're profiting, far-right podcasters are profiting off of rhetoric, saying there's a war. Yeah, right. They're the ones saying that we're in the middle of a war. Here was that Chris Murphy senator saying the same.
From some in the sort of far right, podcasting sphere who make money off this kind of rhetoric. I mean, they're talking about war. There's a war targeting conservatives.
That is incredibly dangerous. And I hope these far right podcasters come to their senses and recognize that this is not war.
Like, we're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
We're in a war. You have to do whatever is necessary to save the country. The hypocrisy is obviously resounding, but it's not all bad news out there, all right? We had some amazing vigils last night, lots of love and outpouring for Charlie Kirk, and this was even taking place in downtown Seattle. So I think now's a good time for the sane Democrats to disavow their insane party and abandon ship. But if not, I mean, if they want to double down and continue to blame Republicans and blame the right for our rhetoric as our people are being killed constantly, while they have a history of endorsing violence, funded a lot of the violence back during 2020, had their vice presidential candidate bailing people out, raising money for criminals to turn around and lecture us about being, civil and nonviolent or something. Of course, we encourage nonviolence, but we want people to be cognizant and recognize who the opposition party is, what they stand for, what do they believe, what are their values. How can you ever break bread with somebody who wants your people shot in the neck and are happy about it? I don't think you can. So the only other solution is complete and total defeat, obliteration politically of the entire Democratic Party, using all the tools available. They did the same thing. We're not asking for anything unusual. We just want some actual results. And if it's defunding the universities or investigating the billionaire networks and pursuing prosecutions for all the financial crimes associated, President Trump got charged with 34 felonies for bookkeeping records. Remember that? Signed the check, a ledger, and a receipt. Felony, felony, felony times 12 months. It was ridiculous. And if that's the precedent that's been set, I'm sure there's a lot more criminality out there. But this was the vigil out, even in Seattle. We had apparently some Democrats, Seattle I think is very blue, coming out to be good people and pay their respects.
All right, we're here in downtown Seattle at Westlake Park. Easily more than 300 people for Charlie Kirk's vigil. People from all sides of the political spectrum, just common sense Seattleites and Americans out here. You see also a lot of Israeli flags to remember and honor Charlie's support for Israel. But a concert's about to get underway. A memorial service, prayer vigil for Charlie Kirk. Easily, again, hundreds of people here this evening for Charlie Kirk, and just a lot of emotions. Got supporters of Charlie everywhere right now. Pretty much all of Seattle media here as well. Pretty unprecedented, actually. But Charlie was more than just a influencer online. He was a global personality, and I think that's why there's a crush of people here. So we'll see how this evening goes.
So nice post, and you can see that person is reporting over at that account. Cho Show is the social. Now, very happy to see that outpouring of love. And Stephen Miller had a good post today. He says, there is an ideology that has steadily been growing in this country which hates everything that is good, righteous, and beautiful, and celebrates everything that is warped, twisted, and depraved. It is an ideology at war with family and nature. It is envious, malicious, and soulless. It is an ideology that looks upon the perfect family with bitter rage, while embracing the serial criminal with tender warmth. Its adherents organize constantly to tear down and destroy every mark of grace and beauty, while lifting up everything monstrous and foul. It is an ideology that leads always, inevitably, and willfully to violence. Violence against those who uphold order, who uphold faith, who uphold family, who uphold all that is noble and virtuous in this world. It is an ideology whose unifying thread is the insatiable thirst for destruction. We see the workings of this ideology in every posting online, cheering the evil assassination that cruelly robbed this nation of one of its greatest men. Postings from those in positions of institutional authority, educators, healthcare workers, therapists, government employees, reveling in the vile and the sinister with the most chilling glee. The fate of millions depends upon the defeat of this wicked ideology. The fate of our children, our society, and our civilization hinges on it. Now we devote ourselves with love and unyielding determination to finishing the indispensable work to which Charlie bravely devoted his life and gave his last measure of devotion. From Stephen Miller, and he's absolutely right about it. And I hear a lot of the cable people talking about how, well, we don't want to get, too aggressive. We don't want to lose our democracy. We don't want to lose civil society that we have. And we're asking ourselves, your definition of that civil society is you have double standards that enable you to round up your political enemies, to shoot them in the neck, and to blame the right for causing your abuse of them. And so it's unfortunate that we are in a position now where we can't have just a simple conversation with who used to be our Democrat friends. But how can you have a conversation with people who are making dancing videos and whose party is reliant upon those people to function? We can't. Now, the only option is total defeat, and we're going to be here to participate in that.